Charlotte. Apakah ada berita baru, Charlotte?
I see. So you believe that this warning letter was sent by the Phantom Weasel?
Absolutely. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Phantom Weasel never acts as you expect. He must have faked his own death 10 years ago using a body double. Now that he's back, I'm sure the guards who worked on his case back in the day are in for a headache, but however this turns out in the end, the one thing it won't be is boring.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Now, whom should I interview next? Huh? Hey! What a coincidence! Fancy meeting you here.
Oh no, ditanya-tanya, nggak mau.
Perfect timing. So, the Phantom Weasel's latest warning letter. What are your thoughts?
Apa? Weasel?
Yeah, this is the first time we're hearing of this one.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Yes, this case is from a decade ago. I guess you wouldn't know about it.
Dasawarsa berapa tahun anjir?
Well, not to worry. You're in good hands because I'm a professional.
Gimana?
10 or so years ago, a phantom thief became active in the court of Fontaine. Known only as the Weasel. Nobody knew his true identity, and the authorities never managed to catch him.
Oke, jadi intinya ada maling yang udah jago, terus belum ketangkep, itu aja kan ya?
Wow!
Precisely. Well, except the part where they actually have a good reputation. Our Weasel targeted whatever people held dear, and no one was safe from his predations. He would just as soon steal a necklace from a rich merchant's safe as he would a toy doll given to a commoner child for their birthday.
Orang aneh lagi. Si Trevor kayaknya udah capek anjir sama ketemu orang aneh mulu.
A magician named Caesar fell to his death in a botched high-altitude escape performance.
Berarti ada sulap juga ya untuk mencuri hasil curian. Ya itu tuh hasil curian, dia pakai sulap buat langsung kabur.
When the police went through his personal effects, they found a horde of stolen loot and gadgets used for criminal activities. And that was how the Phantom Weasel's identity was revealed to all. I had to squeeze through the crowd this morning to get a photo as soon as I heard. Here, it's this one.
Bentar, gua berusaha baca.
3 days from now, when evening falls, I shall take from you that which you hold most dear at the opera house, just as you did to me 10 years ago.
Orang aneh bisa baca anjir.
What once seemed like an open and shut case has been blown wide open again. But why has he re-emerged now? And what does he want? I sense an epic scoop. And I'm...
Uh-oh. If this thief will steal anything that other people value, does that mean even we might be targeted?
Lia, nanti lu diculik oleh sama si malingnya.
Okay, the people have spoken. It's clear that the public are very concerned about the Phantom. Let's see, I've got a photo of the letter, my interview notes.
Ya itu tuh.
Yep, that should be enough to form the skeleton of my article. It does feel like something is missing, though.
Apakah kita harus wawancara si Lyney?
Something exclusive.
Tapi si Trevor lagi ngambek ya sama si Lyney.
Who should I interview next? I need someone with a more concrete connection to the Weasel. Is that who I think it is?
Pasti iya, Charlotte. Gua tahu lu pengen kemana.
Lyney!
Magic, magician, Caesar, the Phantom Weasel. That's it. Let's go interview
Udah.
Lyney.
Gua capek anjir kalau ketemu sama Charlotte.
You see, the original Phantom thief Caesar was a magician too. And what do phantom thieves and magicians have in common? They both have an air of mystery about them.
Are you serious? What sort of a deduction is that?
Oh, relax. My journalistic instinct tells me that an
Iya dah,
exclusive news
iya.
story is
Sesepuh wartawan,
Let's
sesepuh
go.
wartawan.
Note.
Aku mah masih pemula. Anjarin dong, Puh. Sepuh.
Wow, Mr. Magician! How did you know which card I picked?
Oh, it's simple. Come closer and I'll let you in on my secret. Magicians have a special skill called telepathy, which means we can read other people's minds.
Aku pengen dibisikin sama Lyney juga.
Alright, got it.
Udah baikan lagi kah?
Hey, Lyney?
Ya, tanggung.
Why, hello. We meet again. Are you looking for me? What's the situation?
Well, why don't you guess, Mr. Telepathic?
Dibalikin.
Oh, please. You didn't believe that spiel, did you? The power of telepathy is quite beyond me.
I'm sure that child would beg to differ. Seemed like you were right on the money.
That was nothing more than a little trickery. I made an educated guess based on his micro-expressions. That, plus the fact that he was the only kid here without his parents, and he looked as good. You guys, on the other hand? Let me guess. Don't tell me you're here for the Phantom Weasel, are you?
Itu ya bener anjir, ini telepati. Sepuh.
Wait, really? No trickery this time. It was pure luck.
Sepuh ini mah, sepuh merendah asli ini mah.
His warning letter's been the talk of the town, so I figured that maybe you were asking around about that.
Bingo! I plan on writing a column reporting on the latest news about the Phantom Weasel. So, Lyney, what are your thoughts on this infamous thief's reappearance?
To be honest, it makes me angry.
Emosi, gue juga emosi sama lu anjir.
Angry?
You read his letter, right? The Phantom Weasel claims he's planning something in 3 nights' time at the Opera House. That's the night I'll be performing there.
What are the chances? Wait a minute, you don't think he's after you, do you?
Well, if he is, then his warning is clearly a direct challenge to me personally. And if he's not, then it's still going to be a huge headache for me. The mere mention of the Weasel's name is enough to scare people off. So once the contents of that letter get out, barely anyone... But I've been preparing for this for a long time. I'm not about to let him ruin my big day. This leaves me with only one choice. I have to expose the Phantom Weasel's identity before the show begins.
Really? So what you're saying is, we might get to see a live duel between a famous magician and an infamous thief?
Celah berita, bukan celah konten, celah berita.
To be honest, I'm not sure if I'll emerge the victor. The Phantom Weasel is a notorious crook, infamous for his inscrutable methods.
You're being far too modest, Lyney. I think your magic tricks are even more inscrutable than those of a thief.
Thanks for the compliment, though I have to say I don't care much for the comparison. A lot of people liken magicians to thieves because we both have the ability to make things disappear without the person noticing. Allow me to demonstrate with a quick magic trick. Here, I have a flower, just an ordinary flower that was picked not long ago. Watch it carefully now. 3, 2, 1.
Hilang. Itu mah terasa sih, gua belum lihat nih. Lu jangan kaget, Traveler.
It's gone!
That's the question. Where did it go? Therein lies the difference between us. Thieves make precious things disappear, but only magicians make them reappear. If I could now invite you all to check your clothes, there might be a surprise in there somewhere.
A surprise? Let me
Itu tuh. Nah, kaget kan lu?
It's right there! But how? You haven't moved this whole time!
What an outstanding trick! Sorry, Lyney, it seems that my previous praise was woefully inadequate. Clearly,
Don't worry, I didn't take offense. I just wanted to take the opportunity to perhaps change some of the preconceived notion. Since Caesar's death, a lot of people associate magicians with criminality. It can be quite frustrating.
Pantas ya sih ini kayak emosi gitu. Iya sih, gue juga kebawa emosi kalau kerjaan gue di stereotipnya jadi jelek gitu.
I can imagine. Coming back to your trick just now, might I presume that you are well versed in floral symbolism? For example, magicians often use rainbow roses in their flower-related performances to represent passion and romantic encounters.
Bang, pelan-pelan bang, ya Allah. Kalau gue ditanya sama syarat, gue nangis anjir.
But you used a Lumidu spell, which, if I'm not mistaken, allude to separations. I'm curious to know if there was any deeper meaning behind this choice.
Oh, jangan-jangan itu perpisahan hubungan si Lyney sama Traveler ya? Nggak gitu lah ini. Bentar, kita nggak gitu.
Impressive knowledge. It's no wonder you're such a successful journalist. But I'm afraid I don't know the first thing about floral symbolism. It sounds like something I should look into, though. I'll buy myself a copy of Fontaine's Floral Language Facts when I have some time. But it'll have to wait until this Phantom Weasel business is behind us.
Itu lu gak usah beli buku, lu pakai ini headset yang orang-orang Sumeru, tau nggak? Nanti lu nanya, nanti itu beritanya langsung ada tuh kayak Google.
Well noted. In that case, this brings us to the end of our interview. I, for one, am looking forward to the final showdown between you and the thief.
Oh, selesai. Alhamdulillah.
If there's nothing else, I'll be off. You've given me lots to work with here, and I've got no time to lose if I want to write that exclusive piece. I'll see you all later.
Dadah. Dadah Charlotte. Oke, kita ditinggal Charlotte. Jadi kita ngomong apa nih sama si Lyney?
So, Lyney, are you gonna tell us how you did that flower trick now?
I'm afraid that's my little secret.
Well, magicians are entitled to their secret. You feel it too, right? So itchy!
Kita benar. Si Phantom gimana nih si Phantom?
Not so itchy then, huh? Well, since you're so concerned, how would you like to serve as my temporary magician's assistants and help me investigate?
Magician's assistants? Oh, that sounds fun! Assistants are technically magicians too! Also, it'll bring us one step closer to figuring out how that darn trick is done! Shall we go for it?
Karena hubungan itu baik ya, silaturahmi itu baik, jadi ayo kita mulai.
Excellent. Thank you for putting your trust in moi. The first thing we need to look into is who Caesar really was. If he truly was the Phantom Weasel, that means... But if he wasn't the Weasel? Well, that'll make things more interesting. It would mean that the Weasel lives and he's been laying low all this time, and if we're investigating Caesar, his fiancée Gemma is a good place to start. Word is that she visits the cemetery often, so I asked Lynette to wait for her there. We should make a move. Let's go and rendezvous.
Kita bikin mereka bareng-bareng. Ya, kita bikin mereka bareng-bareng. Ada bunganya tidak? Kagak ada lagi.
You took your time.
Ya maaf, tadi kan ada si itu. Siapa sih namanya?
Sorry, I bumped into the Traveler and Charlotte en route, and we ended up chatting for a while.
It's been a while, Lynette. We're working as Lyney's temporary assistants in the investigation of the Phantom Weasel.
Thank you. It's good to have you helping.
So, what's the situation? Have you seen Gemma?
Nope. I've been here a while, and she still hasn't shown up.
How bizarre. Maybe it was bad intel.
Enggak.
Well, we won't get anywhere by standing around waiting. Traveler, Paimon, let's go ask around.
Hi there. You're Gemma, right?
Who's asking?
Don't be afraid, we mean no harm. It looks like you're injured. How bad is it?
Thanks for your concern, but you didn't answer my question.
My name is Lyney, and this is my sister Lynette.
My name's Paimon, and this here's the Traveler.
Weasel posted a warning letter this morning. If he still lives, that means you knew Caesar better than anyone else. So if you're willing, we'd love to hear what you think about all this.
Ya, sedih lagi. No.
I promise you can trust us. We won't hurt you. In fact, we'll do all we can to keep you safe.
I never believed that he was the Weasel.
Huh. I suspected as much. Okay, so going back 10 years, do you remember anything strange in the weeks leading up to the accident?
No, not that I know of.
Got it. All right, sorry for disturbing you.
If you don't have any more questions, please leave. I want to be alone with him.
Oh, ini kuburannya si ini ya?
Judging by the look on her face, there's definitely something fishy about her.
She's lying. She definitely knows something.
That's fair. We're just a bunch of strangers who showed up and started questioning her about things that happened a whole decade ago. It makes sense that she'd be wary around us. In any case, I doubt we'll get any further here, so let's call it a day. Meet me outside Hotel de Boer tomorrow, and then we'll start... Over here!
Lynette's not joining us today?
I've had her follow Gemma and see if we can make any inroads with her. They should be at a cafe right now. Today, we'll be looking into a guy named Lorenzo, Caesar's former pupil and assistant. I had to pull a lot of strings, but I managed to get him to agree to a couple of drinks with me. Be warned, though, I hear he's got a hair-triggered temper.
You neglected to mention that you were bringing 2 other people with you.
Jadi gue nggak boleh ikutan gitu.
My apologies. These 2 are my assistants. When they heard that I was meeting with the former magic maestro himself, they begged and pleaded with me to bring them
Oh, forget the pleasantries, just sit.
Orang punya masalah apa ya? Kagak ramah banget dah.
Get a load of this guy. Forget the pleasantries, he says, but he looks pretty happy about Lyney stroking his ego.
Much obliged, sir. As it happens, the matter I want to address is also related to magic. I have to get to the bottom of this to ensure that my show can go ahead as planned. Naturally, any investigation into the weasel starts with a few questions about Caesar, who...
What is there to investigate?
Please, sir, no need to get so worked up. I do concede that a copycat is but one possibility.
Possibility? It's a fact, Lyney. Look, my patience is limited, so listen carefully while I'm still willing to put up with you. The weasel is dead. Period. Everyone knows that, so do yourself a favor and quit this investigation. It'll lead you nowhere. Look, if this affects your magic show in any way, I will personally compensate you for any losses.
My pride as a magician is what's at stake here, Lorenzo. Copycat or not, this person has thrown me the gauntlet, and I must meet their challenge head-on.
Your pride? Don't mince words with me, boy. Just tell me, what exactly are you seeking to do?
I want to find out the Phantom Weasel's true identity. I have to know for myself what really happened 10 years ago.
What would that accomplish? And what do the events of 10 years ago have to do with you, anyway? Look, you of all people should know that a magician never reveals their secret.
Uh-oh, this is getting awkward.
Kata gua mah nggak usah ikut-ikutan urusan orang lain dah.
Renzo? Is that? Oh, it is you! I know that big, booming voice anywhere. What's up, my man? Wanna grab...
Another day, I'm busy.
Oh, come on! You can't be all business all the...
If I wanted your life advice, I'd ask for it. Now get out of my face and go be drunk somewhere else.
Sorry, my good sir. I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
Oh, hey! Edmondo. He and I are business pals. We worked together a bunch of times. And he wonders why he can't get a girlfriend, despite being, what, pushing 40, 30, something? Anyway, point is, a lot older.
Shut up and get out of my face. Another word out of you and you can forget about doing business with me ever again.
Sorry, I may have had a little too much to drink. All right, I'm gonna leave. Don't work too hard.
I think it's high time I made a move as well. If you really want to investigate this, Lyney, be my guest. But if nothing good comes of it, don't say I didn't warn you.
Ya bantuin gua lah, jangan tiba-tiba nyalahin gua.
Well, that fell to pieces in a rather spectacular fashion. Any thoughts?
Totally. And what was all that about compensating you for your losses? He's gotta be hiding something. And not like Gemma. She was a little suspicious, but this guy's definitely covering something up.
I think so too. We need to look into Lorenzo more closely. That guy Edmondo seems to know a thing or two about him. He only just left. Let's see if we can catch up with him.
Maaf kalau tiba-tiba gua ngobrol kayak gini. Jadi kasusnya ya, bukan kasusnya sih, tapi intinya waktu gua main Archon Quest itu tuh tiba-tiba quest story questnya si Lyney ini kayak ke-trigger. Jadi gua kayak gak mau untuk merecordnya secara langsung gitu. Jadi kayak di satu video tuh ada story quest Lyney sama Archon quest. Nah, pada saat gua mengedit Archon quest itu tuh kan udah selesai kan Archon questnya. Begonya gua malah ngapus tuh file. Jadi tuh jadi story questnya si Lyney ini nih bener-bener ada di video yang gua hapus gitu. Jadi ya, jadi ada yang bolong kayak gini gitu. Jadi oke, untuk mengisi kekosongan biar kalian nggak bingung. Jadi intinya si Lyney sama si Trevor ini kan diusir kan ya, diusir sama si orang jutek tersebut. Dan tiba-tiba pada saat mereka udah keluar dari restoran ini nih, dia bisa dibilang dibuntutin oleh satu orang atau satu kelompok gitu yang setelan itu kayak mirip-mirip kayak apa ya, agen-agennya si Navia tapi bukan agen Navia gitu. Jadi intinya si Lyney sama si Trevor ini kayak dibuntutin gitu. Oke, lanjut.
You followed us a long way. Why don't you come out and introduce yourselves?
Anjir,
So you're Lyney. And where's your sister? Ain't she
ngapain
with you
kata?
today?
Kenapa ada wajah mulus?
Save us the trouble and go fetch her for us.
Looks like we can't avoid this fight.
Berantem nih.
Now, I'm not the strongest fighter, so I hope you're ready to back me up.
Don't worry, we got this!
Nih mati nih, gue diem doang ya.
Mind the side effects. Remember, health comes first.
Tuh mati juga anjir.
Come on, let's scram!
Hey, wise guys! We ain't through with you yet! Oh, they got away! Did you catch what they said just before they left? Sounds like they just wanted to rough us up as a scare tactic, and they've already done it to someone else, but who? You're right. She was injured when we saw her yesterday, and she acted like she had something to hide. Maybe she was too scared to tell us the truth because those guys had threatened her.
Well, if that's the case, she should be more willing to open up to us once she learns that those thugs won't be bothering her anymore. Let's head back to the cafe and see if we can get any information from her.
Nah. Canggung.
You again. What is it this time?
We just ran into the men who've been threatening you, and we gave them a taste of their own medicine. So, you can relax now. We're here to protect you.
What? Why? I didn't tell you anything. Why would they come after you?
Sounds like they're no strangers to you.
That's putting it mildly. I know them all too well, and I hate them with every fiber of my being. How do I know I can trust you? Do you really think you can get to the bottom of it all? And why are you doing this?
I'm afraid I can't reveal all the details just yet, but I can promise you this. I will expose the Phantom Weasel's true identity. Because you see, this is a personal matter of the utmost importance. I give you my word. Trust me.
Okay. How can I help you?
I've heard that Caesar used to have a magic workshop where he kept a lot of his personal effects. If possible, I'd like to take a look at them. Do you know where it is?
The Fleuve Sonde. But the place was sealed up by the police after his death, and no one's been there since. I also know that the Fleuve Sonde is dangerous territory. Lots of hostile groups lurking around.
Understood. Lynette, you stay here and take care of Gemma. Don't let her come to harm.
Got it. But if I'm staying here, I'm ordering dessert.
Uang mah gampang.
I mean, bon appetit. But stay sharp, too. They're likely to come for you while I'm away.
Okay. All right. Power saving mode off. I'll start taking this more seriously.
Anjir bang, lu robot. Lynette.
If Gemma gave us the right location, then the workshop should be right nearby. Looks like these boxes are blocking the entrance. Let's shift them away first. There we go. It should be just down here.
Lynette ini bagus gak ya? 90. Oke, let's go.
That's weird. Have we reached the end already?
Ha! If I just move this book, then hopefully...
A secret passageway! How did you know?
I'm a magician too, and apparently great minds really do think alike.
Sombong, sombong.
Looks pretty big inside. Let's head in and take a look around.
Orang pinter kok rata-rata sombong banget dah. Yes.
Why have you stopped, Lyney? Is there some device in that box?
Huh. It just looks familiar somehow. Let me check this out for a second while you guys go on. If anyone makes a major discovery, let's rendezvous here.
All right, see you in a bit. Wow, there's a hidden room here.
Asli nih mah.
Thick as a brick. Let's take a peek inside it, shall we?
At one of my shows a few days ago, a child asked me how I pulled candy out of my hat. 2 children came to talk to me after today's show. I don't know why they were out on their own. They looked much too young to be unsupervised. Anyway, they said that they wanted me to teach them how to do magic. It's not uncommon for children to ask this, of course, but I told them that learning magic is very hard work. But that didn't faze them at all. It seems like something's bothering Lorenzo lately. But surely he's not upset that I agreed to teach those 2 children. I have a good feeling about those kids. They're naturally talented, and it seems like they're not new to the world of magic.
Ini ngomongin si Lyney sama Lyney ya?
They wanted to call me master, but I told them they absolutely mustn't. Any magician worth their salt could have taught them what I have.
Sounds a lot like he was writing about Lyney and Lynette, don't you think?
Emang.
So did they meet Caesar when they were kids? Let's go ask Lyney. Lyney?
Shh, hold that thought. As I expected, there's a lot of fishy things going on in this place. All in good time. Before we go over our new leads, I want to tell you how a high-altitude escape is performed. First, the magician slots themselves into a magic box in full view of the audience. The box is then suspended high in the air, and a short while later, the base automatically opens. Meanwhile, the real magician, who has by now blended into the crowd, waits for a good moment to make their appearance and put on a hysterical performance. Oh no! Is that me? Did I just fall to my death? The audience's gaze then turns to the magician, and by the time they realize what's happened, the dummy has vanished, as if everything that just happened was some sort of shared illusion. Of course, that's just how I think the process should work, theoretically. The inventor of this trick never performed it successfully. When the box opened, Caesar was the one who fell out, and not the dummy.
Okay.
He fell right to the ground from the highest point of the opera house. No one could hope to survive that fall. Not without a vision, at least.
Berarti pertunjukannya gagal ya?
Wait a second. So if a dummy's supposed to drop out of the box, then where does the real magician go?
Glad you asked. That brings us to the secret of said box. This box right here is the one that Caesar constructed himself to use in the performance, and it's not as simple as it looks. Inside, there's a device that only the magician himself would know about. Once the magician's inside and the box is lifted up into the air, the audience's view of the box is fixed at a certain angle. From where they're standing, they have a clear view of the front, sides, and bottom, but the back and the top are now no longer visible. At this point, the magician presses a button inside the box, opening a secret door out of view. He then escapes through this trapdoor onto the opera house roof, waits for the dummy to fall and distract the audience, and quietly returns to ground level.
That's way simpler than Paimon imagined. Even Paimon could probably do it.
Well, there's a little more to it than that, of course. The hardest part of this trick is controlling the audience's mood and reactions. That takes an exceptional degree of showmanship. There's the falling dummy, the miraculous reappearance, the pompous performing. Maybe the magician would even have themselves tied up before it begins to strengthen the impression that there's no escape. Many days and nights of careful research and painstaking practice would have gone into this, all culminating in a performance just a few minutes long, but one that still manages to transform the shock and grief of a tragic accident to the joy and laughter of a mesmerizing magic trick. Caesar was a highly accomplished magician. But unfortunately, even he didn't manage to pull it off.
So, how did it go so wrong? You said you found some fishy stuff here. Have you figured out what really happened?
I can make a pretty good guess. I looked into the case files. The magic box Caesar was using at the time of his death had the secret button I mentioned positioned on the right-hand side. And, sure enough, he always used his right hand as his dominant hand in public.
Okay. Nothing suspicious there.
But here's the strange thing. Most of the devices in this workshop have the mechanism on the left-hand side, including this box right here, which leads me to believe that Caesar was in fact left-handed. Because a magician can't afford to have their most basic habits stand out too much. People naturally focus their attention on the most important details of the task or situation at hand. But a magician needs to be able to redirect an audience's attention at will, so as to avoid arousing their suspicion. The essence of magic is getting people to believe a lie. If even the truth raises eyebrows, the falsehoods become all the more difficult to mask. And so, Caesar trained himself to use his right hand to align with his audience's expectations. Great magic always requires sacrifices. But in his most stressful and nerve-wracking moments, and when no one was watching, reflex would kick in and he'd use his left hand. Exactly. I think that's likely what happened. Caesar would have been under a lot of time pressure during the escape. He'd have had mere seconds to open the hidden compartment, retrieve the dummy, then open the secret door and make a swift escape. But I'm sure he was confident. He would have rehearsed countless times to the point where it was second nature. He'd barely need to think about what he was doing because muscle memory would guide him through. So he opened the compartment, took out the dummy, checked everything was in order, and then went to leave. With his left hand, he reached for the button, and suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. It wasn't there. Much like when you reach for your keys but find your pocket empty, his mind needed a moment to process what was going on. Instinctively, his left hand would keep feeling around for the missing button, maybe for another second or two, until the bottom of the box gave way. With the stakes being as high as they were, just a 2-second delay cost him everything. The authorities would find nothing suspicious and conclude that his death was due to his own error.
When in reality, someone switched the boxes, and they did it to murder him.
Oke, dibunuh berarti.
It would have to have been someone who knew that he was left-handed and who could move his props around without arousing suspicion. Someone who was always by his side. Isn't that right, Lorenzo?
Anjir, udah di sini.
You just couldn't let sleeping dogs lie, could you? There's not a lot of people who'd go to all this trouble for some magician who died 10 years ago. I gave you your chance. I hoped you'd do what's good for you and back off like the lady, but you disappoint me.
Jadi intinya kita harus berantem kan?
You mean Gemma? So you are the one who's been threatening her?
Yes, although however stubborn she might be, she was never much of a liability. But you, which is why you can't leave this place alive. Take them out and make it quick.
Bacot.
Do your worst!
Itu kartu apa anjir? Gaprek.
You kids are tougher than you look.
I think it's high time you started talking, and what I'd really like to know is...
If I had a mora for every time you said that man's name. Of course you idolize Caesar, everyone else did.
So it was jealousy.
Iri hati. Orang iri nih.
Jealousy. Hatred, more like. I hated Caesar. All he cared about was his magic. And with his reputation in Fontaine, It was too risky for me to go it alone. As long as he was alive, if I dabbled in my own brand of money-making magic, he would expose me, and it would destroy me. I had to kill him. There was no other way.
Ada setan. Lu kurang iman.
It was reason enough. What other motive would I need?
Well, I was under the impression that there might have been other factors at play. For instance, maybe you were in love with Gemma, but she was engaged to Caesar.
In love with Gemma? Don't be ridiculous.
Guess I was wrong about that then. Next question. Are you the Phantom Weasel?
I am. Caesar was so strict with me. He insisted that his way was the right way. I never bought into any of that. I was more interested in the practical value of magic.
Oh, yeah! Charlotte told us that the weasel would steal whatever people valued, no matter how much it was worth.
So, that's the story, huh? Well, I hope you're ready to tell it all over again.
What choice do I have? You're a pack of wolves, and you've got me between your jaws. You've seen what's here, and my last-ditch effort to stop it getting out has failed. So be it. I've enjoyed power and wealth for the last 10 years, the likes of which Caesar could never give me.
Very well. In that case, I'll contact the guards. Traveler, Paimon, keep an eye on Lorenzo for me. I'll meet you just outside the workshop when I'm back.
Lorenzo. Iri hati. Gua foto juga lu.
Lyney has told me the whole story. Lorenzo, do you confess to the murder of Caesar and to framing him for the Phantom Weasel's crimes?
Look who's finally developed a conscience.
Looks like it's all over. What should we do next, Lyney?
Let me think. Let's rendezvous with Lynette and Gemma first. With Lorenzo in custody, Gemma will no longer have to fear for her...
Good point! We should go tell Gemma the good news right away!
Ah, you're back. You were so quick. I've only just finished my third dessert.
Astagfirullah, nggak apa-apa, udah nggak apa-apa. Nggak apa-apa sayang, nggak apa-apa.
Your third? Lynette, come on, we've talked about this. Everything in moderation. You're not gonna have any room left for dinner now.
It's fine. I'll shift to exercise mode and jog off the excess sugar.
Mode lagi, mode.
That's besides the point. Well, it's done now. But try to eat a more balanced diet in the future.
Point taken.
Did everything go okay?
Alhamdulillah.
Of course! Lorenzo was no match for us. The guards are taking him into custody as we speak.
Gosh, that's amazing. I'm sorry, I still didn't know if I could trust you, but I had my suspicions about Lorenzo, but I...
Tenang.
It's okay, we understand. He did threaten you. Paimon would find it hard to trust strangers in your position too. But you don't need to be scared anymore. Everything's gonna be okay.
Sorry. My emotions are all over the place right now. Thank you all. Truly. Thank you so much.
Sama-sama.
Thank you all for clearing Caesar's name.
If only I'd realized before it was too late.
Don't blame yourself, Gemma. This isn't your fault.
Nah, itu tuh bener Grazia.
Yeah, you still have the rest of your life to live. Caesar wouldn't want to see you spending it feeling guilty.
Bener juga, Dolara.
Cheer up, Gemma.
Bener juga, Lynette.
My brother's doing a magic show at the Opera House tomorrow evening. Would you like to come along? It might raise your... This show will be a special one. We're holding it in Caesar's honor.
In Caesar's honor? Really? Thank you. I'll be there.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Traveler, Paimon, don't be late.
Siap siaga.
Paimon's excited to see another of Lyney's magic shows! Wait. Lynette, shouldn't you be on...
Not this time. My brother's going solo today. So, I'll be watching with you.
Thank you all so much for coming. Now, prepare to join me on a journey through the mystical and miraculous.
Exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it's just... It reminds me of him.
So, how did you two first meet, Gemma?
Well, I was out on the street once, and I saw him performing for little children. Children love magic, because they're willing to believe in things that can't be rationally explained. Caesar had this amazing way of bringing them into a dreamlike world. And somehow, I felt drawn to him too.
Aw, that sounds so romantic. What trick did he do?
Kasih bunga.
It was with a flower. He took it in his hand, snapped his fingers, and it magically appeared on my head. I was so happy that day. No one had ever given me a flower before that.
Oh, that's so cute! Actually, now that you mention it, Lyney's done that one before.
Bentar. Berarti si Lyney ke gua?
Paimon doesn't really know how to comfort you, but at the very least, no one's gonna be intimidating you from now on.
Right. Yes, you can breathe easy now, Phantom Weasel.
See? Even Lynette says... Wait, what? The Phantom Weasel? Lorenzo escaped? Where is he?
As Lyney once said, a performer's job is to commit fully to their role and put on a flawless performance for their audience. But once the bag of tricks is empty and the curtain falls, it's time to end the show. It's been 10 years, Gemma. Aren't you tired of the grieving widow act?
What are you talking about? Traveler, Paimon doesn't like where this is going. Come on, say something!
Apalagi gua.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all enjoying the performance so far. There will now be a brief intermission, after which Lyney will perform the most electrifying act of tonight's show, the one we've all been waiting for.
Dear me, this is awkward, isn't it? And unfortunately, I'm all out of gadgets, so I'm afraid I can't do any tricks to liven up the mood.
Lyney, don't we have more important things to address right now? Lynette accused Gemma of being the real Phantom Weasel a moment ago. Oh, what the heck's going on?
All in good time. Magicians are good at guessing what people are thinking. I know the questions you want to ask. Let's go back to the very beginning. A decade ago, when the Phantom Weasel was terrorizing the court of Fontaine, she never missed a target, never left a trace, and no treasure was safe from her thieving hands. As her infamy grew, so did the readiness of the police, and her opportunities to act became ever fewer. Every day, she ran the risk of being exposed for who she was. Of course, she could not simply take this lying down, and before long, she found her ticket to freedom. She would create a scapegoat. After weighing her options, she set her sights on a renowned magician, Caesar. After all, magic and theft shared enough similarities for people.
So that...
Being the master deceiver she was, the Weasel easily earned Caesar's trust. Now, all that remained was to frame him for her countless crimes. But as she was considering how to make her move, she noticed Caesar's aggrieved pupil, and a new thought entered her mind. Maybe I don't need to get my hands dirty after all. At her encouragement, Lorenzo tampered with Caesar's magic box, causing him to fall to his death. Afterwards, Lorenzo seized his master's property, and the Weasel set about tarnishing Caesar's reputation. Two co-conspirators committed the perfect crime.
Hah? Berarti si itu juga kena?
I've got to hand it to you. You're both exceptional storytellers, but I just have one question. You seem to think that I am the villain in this tale. What's brought this on, Lyney?
Don't worry, Lorenzo said nothing at all. But I never believed that he was the Weasel, and in fact, my investigation only made me more certain of that.
How disappointing. So you'd sooner trust Lorenzo than me? Even without a shred of evidence?
A magician is an expert at playing the audience to get the result they want. And I have no doubt that you, Gemma, are equally talented in this regard. With a little help from Lorenzo, you put on a very convincing performance. The lovesick fiancé.
Wait, so you mean the whole intimidation thing was just a hoax? Gemma, but why would Lorenzo agree to that? And why didn't he sell her out even at the end instead of admitting to being the weasel himself?
Yes, why indeed? Maybe Gemma herself could enlighten us on that question.
Having killed Caesar with his own hands, Lorenzo was plagued by overwhelming guilt.
Jadi siapa nih?
Revealing the Phantom Weasel's true identity would serve no purpose. But if the weasel remained free, then she could take care of Lorenzo's loved ones.
An excellent answer, though sadly a little dull.
If I had to guess, I would say that the real weasel must have had a terrible childhood. Left to fend for herself after her parents died young. Betrayed, scorned, beaten. She'd scrounge waste paper from garbage bins to draw on, using twigs and dirt for lack of ink and pen. She'd sew ugly rag dolls from whatever scrap material she could get her hands on. This was her only source of happiness in life. But it was all she needed, and she was content. Once again, she was betrayed. And this time, everything was taken from her. She felt like life was a miry pit that dragged her further down the more she struggled to escape. This was a fate too cruel for anyone to bear. Her pain became a breeding ground for dark thoughts. Does this story satisfy you, Lyney?
Yes, it is quite to my tastes. Thank you for helping to clear up my confusion.
Huh. That's right! What drove you to write that letter, Gemma? Because without that, none of this would have ever come to light!
She didn't write the letter.
After 10 long years, I'd hoped that the Phantom Weasel would be consigned to the history books by now, Lyney. Or should I call you the Phantom Copycat now? You were the one who posted that letter outside the Opera House.
Very sharp, Phantom Weasel. Still as shrewd as ever. Well, no need for me to be coy about it. Our goal was to clear Caesar's name. The most straightforward way to change the public's impression of Caesar was to force the Weasel to show themselves.
That's it? You had no other agenda?
Of course we did. We made it quite clear in the letter, I believe. I shall take from you that which you hold most dear.
Wait. Oh, I get it. You were those two obnoxious kids. It's been so long, and you're all grown up now. He taught you magic back then, didn't he? For what, 10 days or something? And you went to all this trouble.
We remember all our debts, however great or small.
Let's go, utang budi.
10 years ago, Caesar's reputation was torn to shreds and his legacy was thrown out. But we did not forget.
And? What exactly did you take from me? I'm still standing, as you can see.
Free? Do you really think so? Caesar once told me that even though the world is filled with lies and falsehoods, we must find our own truth. I think that applies to you too. Truth can take many forms. Prized possessions with nostalgic value, fervent hopes and dreams, and irreplaceable people.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that for the last 10 years, you've been living a rather uneventful life. Perhaps that's because you found something other than a life of crime to fill the hole? Back to Lorenzo for a second. He murdered his own master, played along with your act, and took pains to make sure any suspicion would be directed towards him. He knew who you were and the things you'd done, and despite that, he was willing to give everything up for your sake. You're more than just accomplices in murder. You're the only real friends each other has. So I think you know, deep down, that that truth is gone now. And I guarantee you.
Congratulations on your freedom, Gemma.
Your freedom will cost you dearly. From now on, you'll be all alone in a world full of lies and falsehoods. I do hope you'll be able to bear it.
Gather round, one and all. The time has now come for the amazing Lyney to perform his final act in tonight's show. I'm sure you're all wondering what he has planned for the grand finale. Well, wonder no more, for the answer is a death-defying high-altitude escape.
A high-altitude escape?
Guess that's my cue to leave. Whew. I've been practicing this one for ages now, but I'm still a little nervous. Traveler, Paimon, I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. There may be a lot of people watching tonight.
Lyney, wait. You two hid a lot from Caesar. He went to his grave without ever knowing your secrets. So what about now? Are you an open book?
You're wrong. I'm nothing like you.
Huh.
So, what are we, doing now?
Nonton si Lyney.
Like Lyney said, when you're ready, let's head outside and watch the show.
But what about Gemma?
She'll figure out what's best for her soon enough. Oh, and if you'd like to see Lyney after the show, you know where he'll be. The usual haunt.
Ya di mana?
All right. Well, let's go and watch Lyney's finale then.
Magic should be mysterious, surprising, and defy logic. Magic is hard work. Every single movement has to be practiced thousands of times.
It's all right. We're used to that.
We're sorry. You've taught us so much, but we can't tell you the whole truth.
It's okay. Do you still remember what I told you? This world is full of lies and falsehoods. I only hope that one day, you can find your own truth.
What about you? Have you found your truth?
Magic is my truth. I want to perform a magic trick so great that people will always think of me when they talk about it. For a magician, what greater honor could there be?
Look! Behold! Lyney is sealed inside the box. Will he manage to escape? 10 years ago, Caesar attempted this very trick, and it was at this precise moment that...
Lyney! Watch out!
Mysterious. Surprising. And logic-defying. Isn't that right? This honor belongs to you, Caesar. I'm just sorry it's a little late.
Did you see that? 1 minute he was falling, and the next, he turned into flowers.
Caesar's name has finally been cleared, and Fontaine's new star magician Lyney has fulfilled a wish on his behalf. Oh, I couldn't ask for a better grand finale.
Whew. Looks like everyone really loved Lyney's grand finale. Paimon doesn't see Lyney anywhere. Where'd he go? Oh, Lynette said he'd be waiting for us at the usual haunt. But,
Kenapa ke kuburan anjir?
Lyney! There you are. Are you alright? Paimon was scared to death when the chain broke. Paimon was sure something had gone horribly wrong.
Magic is a performance art. A magician has to get creative to keep the audience on tenterhooks. That's our job. So I tweaked Caesar's original setup a little to keep it fresh. I was honestly a little nervous during the live performance. The thought of falling, suddenly feeling weightless, seeing the sky and the ground spinning and spinning. Sometimes, I can't help but wonder what Caesar thought in those final moments. Did he regret taking Gemma and Lorenzo on? Or did he believe that it was his own slip-up right until the end?
You know, Paimon's been wanting to ask you about something ever since we were in Caesar's workshop. You learned magic from Caesar once, didn't you? When was that?
After I joined the House of the Hearth. To be honest, Lynette and I had an agenda when we approached him. I told you about my past before, remember? As a young boy, I survived by secretly learning magic from street performers, but I quickly realized that observation alone could only get me so far. What I saw was the polished final performance. I needed to learn how to improve my sleight of hand, hone my misdirection skills, and make niftier props. We were gifted enough that we'd made some progress by ourselves, but without proper guidance from a professional magician, we quickly plateaued.
So that's why you sought Caesar out?
Yes. We figured there was no harm in asking, but it took us by surprise that he was so willing to teach us. In all, we only spent 10 short days together, but he was very good to us. By contrast, we hid so many things from him. For instance, when he asked why I wanted to learn magic, I answered, "It's my passion." But in truth, there was already a lot more to the story by then. After being taken in by an aristocrat for our magic talent, then betrayed soon after, what amazed me was how the lie escaped my lips even as I was hesitating over whether to tell him the truth. Trust is a beautiful thing. Sadly, I'd forgotten how to trust by then.
Lyney.
Still worried about the way I feel? You really are a gentle soul, aren't you? But don't worry, I'm used to it now. From the mansions of the elite to the House of the Hearth, lies and selfishness have followed me and Lynette everywhere we go. After Caesar went on tour, we became busy with our missions. The next we heard of him was that he'd fallen to his death, and was now declared to be the Phantom Weasel. That night, I remembered his smile. Keep secrets is to put up walls. The longer you keep them up, the less you let people in. Then, one day, you look around and realize your life is like an empty auditorium after a show. You only realize how much someone really meant to you when you lose them completely. That's why I was so confident this would hurt Gemma. Because I felt it for myself.
Yeah, cheer up, Lyney. We've had to say our fair share of goodbyes during our journey, too. But whatever happens, Paimon always believes in what tomorrow brings. Delicious food, fun toys, and the traveler by my side. Paimon just needs to focus on things like this, and all the unhappy stuff goes right out the window. You know, Traveler, doesn't that kind of make you Paimon's truth?
Exactly. It's the same for me and Lynette. We are the truest thing each other has in the world, and nothing... Life has taken plenty from us, like it did from Gemma. But at least it left us with each other. That's what gave us the strength to get through the darkest days. That's why the darkness never consumed me, and why it never will. Maybe we live in the shadows too, but we remember every precious ray of light that shines through. All right, time to lighten this conversation up a little. What did you think of the show tonight? Were you happy with it?
Wah, seru banget, gila.
Lyney, could you do just one more trick for us?
Whoa, that's a bit of a tall order, I'm afraid. The show's just finished, so my sleeves are decidedly card-free right now.
Iya, ngasih bunga apa gimana?
Aw, come on! Surely you can think of something. The Lyney Paimon knows can do anything if he puts his mind to it.
Oh, all right then. I'll give it a go, but only because it's you.
Wah, spesial.
Watch closely. I have a flower in my hand.
Nah, gitu.
You liar! There's nothing in your
Huh? My goodness, you're right. But I could have sworn I brought one here with me. Okay, try this. Count down with me. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Now, have another look around. Maybe the flowers appeared somewhere else.
Wow, there it is! Oh, this is a different flower from the last time, right? But more importantly, Paimon has to know how the trick is done. Please, Lyney, pretty please!
Well, if you want to learn magic, you'll have to start by addressing me as teacher.
Oke, teacher.
Fine. Please, teacher, please!
Since you asked so nicely, I'll share one little tip with you. Namely, the student of magic cannot solely rely on others being prepared to reveal their secrets. You have to observe, think, and find the answers for yourself.
Teacher mau bohong.
Is that it?
Look at the time. We shouldn't linger here too long. Thanks again for coming to see my show. I bid you both good night. I look forward to seeing you again.
All right, fine. See ya. Shall we head back now, too?
I'm very sorry, Charlotte, but my sister and I are quite busy today. I'm afraid we'll have to decline this interview.
Oh, please, Lyney, I'll only take a moment of your time, if you would be so kind.
Huh? What's happening here?
I spent all night writing my piece about the Phantom Weasel, and it was going to go to print this morning. But just as dawn broke, I suddenly received news that Caesar's fiancée, Gemma, had contacted the guards and confessed to having been the real Phantom Weasel all along.
That was quick.
Too late, bro. That was quick, you say? It sounds like I've got some catching up to do. Please, fill me in. Aha! My instincts did not lead me astray. You do have something to hide. Gemma turning herself in must have something to do with Lyney's performance last night.
Maybe watching my high-altitude escape trick reminded her of a better time with Caesar, and she could no longer ignore the voice of her conscience.
Huh. Okay, then. Wait, no, there must be more to it. If that's all it took for her to have a change of heart, how did it take her 10 whole years?
Well...
Oh, I remember now! You and Gemma were nowhere to be found after the show. What happened between you? Quickfire question! Where did you all go after the show?
Oh, we went to the cemetery and Lyney did a private magic trick just for us.
Nah, kena lagi.
What? I don't recall ever having received a rainbow rose from you myself. Is this supposed to mean that they're more important to you than your own
gitu.
sister?
Oh gitu.
No, I just,
What now? Oh, did Paimon say something wrong again?
Seems like this interview wasn't meant to be. Well, never mind. There's always next time. All right, I guess I'll leave you to continue the rest of your conversation in peace. Bye for now.
Lynette? Paimon didn't mean to...
Don't worry, I wasn't angry. I was just trying to distract her.
Phew. You and me both, Paimon. You and me both.
Please, take good care of that rainbow rose. I'd be really upset if you lost it.